All right, here we are on a wonderful Wednesday, middle of the week Wednesday, hump day. I posted a fun little video about the old Geico commercial, if you remember that, where the camel's walking through the Geico office and he's asking all the employees, he's like, "What day is it? What day is it?" And then they say it, and he's like, "Hump day." Anyway, hey, got to bring a little levity to the situation of life sometimes, and just don't forget to laugh and enjoy life amidst the chaos of what we're talking about today. So this was kind of I wouldn't say a last minute idea to do this kind of talk today about, how do we bring the bottom up to our loved ones of addiction? So I put together kind of a little talk, a little presentation, interactive, ask questions. Heck, if you want to call in and ask a question, I'm going to give you, here's my phone number. You can call my cell phone and just ask a question. So we're going to do that too. But if you want to put that number down, you want to call in today, ask a question, I'll answer the phone. We'll kind of go from there. But ultimately, really wanted to talk about this idea. You hear a lot of people talk about, well, I'm just going to wait till my loved one hits bottom. Well, we're going to talk about what could a bottom look like, but why not bring the bottom up to your loved one through the process of an intervention? And I just want to encourage you to share this right now, invite friends, share it on your Facebook page right now, or maybe you're watching on LinkedIn, or maybe you're watching on Twitter. We're streaming live to all these different platforms because this is a really important message I like to get across to people is, how do we bring the bottom up to our loved one instead of watching them crash and hitting the bottom? So if that sounds good with you, we're going to dive in and just not waste a lot of time today. We're just going to get into the meat of this. But we're going to talk about, really, addiction destroys families. But we're going to talk about, how do you bring the bottom up to a loved one instead of watching them crash to the bottom and letting their addiction take them down. So intervention process is a really powerful way to help a loved one. So I'm going to change screens here a little bit, and we are going to get to it right now. So let me change this just for a moment. All right, so we're going to share a screen here and pull up our little presentation, and we're going to get to it. So here we go. We're going to All right, so we're going to talk a lot about, how do we bring the bottom up to a loved one that's struggling from addiction. And this just isn't about the loved one. This is about the entire family here that we're talking about today. So we're talking about lifted from the rut. We're going to lift people out of their ruts. We want to move them from addiction to recovery to really live in a transformed life. So again, please share this video with people that you know. Invite them to it right now. Go share it on your Facebook page. And we're going to bring some incredible content to help people. And I'll tell you how you can actually schedule a call with me at the end of this if you are struggling and a loved one needs some help. So here we go. Today we're going to talk about some statistics, solutions, and scheduling. Important information. But sometimes, business the business guy called me to start, ministry called me to start, was, lifted from the rut. Sometimes, if you're stuck in a rut, it's really because you got comfortable there. We're talking about the family. We're talking about the loved one that's struggling with addiction. Just to give you an idea, if you don't know who I am, I speak on a lot of conferences and seminars and webinars with people around the country. And these are just some that I've spoken on and be able to share my expertise, whether it's a podcast or a conference or a summit. So, but when you go online today, and I usually have coffee with me right now, so this should say something about coffee sales. But ultimately, U.S. alcohol sales, this was from 2021 of June. In U.S. alcohol sales in 2020 were at their highest levels in 18 years. Obviously, that's related to the pandemic, a lot of stress, a lot of chaos. But this is the way a lot of people are feeling today, right? The pandemic, life, people losing their jobs, alcohol sales are up, opioid addiction is up. And if you saw recently, there's a huge fentanyl struggle right now in Denver market area, where people are dying left and right from fentanyl because they're lacing a lot of pills and things with things that should not be out there. But stress is so high right now these days, right? We look at overdose deaths exploded to more than 90,000 in 2020. Now, these are 2019 and 2020. That was up 23,000 people almost of overdose deaths. It's over 100,000 already in 2021. And a lot of this is because there's just so much despair and people not knowing what to do right now, what to do in their life and in their situation. So people are turning to drugs, they're turning to alcohol, and it's resulting in overdose deaths. But this is just a man sitting with his hands in his face in complete despair. Can you relate? Whether you're a family member or a loved one, can you relate to these moments in your own life where you just don't know what to do? And here in Colorado, and this was August 2021, it's saying that we are about to experience a huge mental health fallout. And people cover mental health up with using drugs and alcohol. And when you look at this statistic, Colorado's suicide rate in 2019 was 22.1 per 100,000 people. And that was up 8% for the entire country. And we're talking about teens, we're talking about adults. Suicide rate is up because people just don't know how to handle what is going on in the country right now. So here we are in these moments, we just feel like, oh man, we're up against a roadblock. There's nothing to do, right? The pathway is blocked right now. The pathway is blocked. And let me ask you this right now. Do you feel like the pathway is blocked right now in your life? Do you feel like you don't know what to do, or a family member? Well, we're going to give you some tools today and solutions and talk about that. Okay? So here we go. So what Lifted from the Rut is all about. We are about restoring hope, identity, and purpose to the addicted and the family. Restoring hope, identity, and purpose to the addicted and the family. Right? So sometimes we just throw our hands in the air and we just don't know what to do. And we're reaching up for help. And that's what we want to do, is pull people out of their ruts, and the family members. We're going to talk about what is an intervention here in just a minute. Right? But the vision is we want to free prodigals from addictive behaviors and mental health struggles by really figuring out who they are. And we want to cut these strings. We want to cut these strings from being like a puppeteer to our addiction. All right, Michael, I will definitely, let me put my cell phone number up again here. Where did I put that fun little banner there? Hold on. So there's my number if you want to call in and just ask questions. But we're really talking about how do we cut the strings, right? Little banner there. How do we cut the strings and stop letting our addiction control us? Right? We want to cut our strings from the addiction, and quit being this puppet in life. So here's one message I received from, I'll have to fix that. But it was basically an aunt that reached out to me and said, Rob, thank you so much for helping my son. I was trying to cover her name up there. But thank you for just helping my son. I mean, he's been freed from addiction. He's now coaching kids basketball. Here, we're going to take this down. So that was a text message I received from an aunt that was talking about, thank you for helping her son get into a treatment program here in Colorado. And now he is, he's leading Sunday school. He's coaching the kids basketball team. All three of his kids have been baptized. I mean, this is a different guy completely, because his aunt reached out for help. And I was able to help provide those correct resources to get him on the right path. But, his story is like many others, right? They start off with just using substances. And this could be pornography. It could be gambling. It could be shopping. It could be alcohol, drugs, right? But then that use turned into misuse. And that misuse turned into abuse. Then that abuse turned into dependency on whatever it was. And now there's two choices. One, you go to recovery, or you go to death. You go to recovery, or you go to death. And here it is. It's a chance to get off the elevator on any floor, but we're in these free falls of life, right? We're in these free falls of life. and we just don't know how to get out of the elevator. We're just stuck and we're free falling. It's just going and going to the ability to possibly crash one day or learn how to get off the elevator as the family or the loved one. So the first step is just reaching out for help. There's my phone number right there. You can just call me right now. I'm going to give you a way that you can actually schedule a call with me to talk about what's going on in your family and take steps now. But we got to reach out for help. Okay, I want to let you listen to this guy's testimony real quick on just what has happened in his own life and how an intervention helped save his life. If your mom had not called and we had our conversation to partner together, her to hire me to come help you and her in the process, right? What do you think your life possibly might be like if you hadn't taken that step now?
I truly believe there's a good chance I wouldn't be alive today. And if I was alive, I'd be living a pretty miserable, sad existence. Empty. I was already pretty low, but you can always go lower. And it wouldn't have gone any better.
Yeah. You're right. And those are the sad situations when I make those calls back and loved one did not get help. And then that is the situation. But now, as you said, you are fully employed. Mm-hmm. You are engaged.
I am.
You're in the addiction and recovery world and mental health space. And man, you're like changing lives now based on all the junk you went through. You now get to help other people change theirs.
Yeah, it's awesome being able to every day of my life, in my work, in my free time, no matter what day it is, I can always use my experience to help others.
How are you and your mom doing these days with this new Robert?
So me and everyone in my family have an amazing relationship now. I actually look forward to going to see my family. I plan trips for me to fly back out east and see them all the time. They come down and see me, and it's not a welfare check.
Right.
It's we actually get to spend time together. For the longest time, our relationship was me using my parents for selfish reasons, not for as a true relationship, and them consumed with worry about me. That was what it was. It was, my sister likes to say that for many years it was my parents. It was always about me, but not in a good way. And it's in a good way now. It's not always about me either, but I'm doing great, and it's a beautiful relationship that has blossomed. I didn't realize how bad my relationship with my family was until I went to treatment. All these things.
Yeah,
definitely I had done.
Yeah, definitely a lot of change. So what would you say to the mom or the dad? Because I'm relating this to your story, right? You had concerned parents and you were the one that was struggling, but the mom and the dad that are afraid to, call and schedule an intervention, or at least have that first call to see what to do. What would you say to them to encourage them to do something?
Well, number one, call right now. There's no sense in waiting. Understand that there's a better side to it. You can get out of it. Also understand that if your son or daughter has tried before, that doesn't mean it's not going to work if you try again. My personal story is I had 2 real attempts. And other people's stories are more than that. And that doesn't mean that failed attempts are an indicator of what's going to come in the future.
Awesome, man. Well, I just want to say thanks for just being amazing. And I'm so proud of knowing meeting you on that day and looking at you now is totally two different people. And the thing that changed was your willingness to change your own life and listen to suggestions of other people. And look at you now.
Yeah, it's I'm happy. I love my life, and I can't see myself living any other way right now.
And that right there is a changed. That right there is why I do what I do. I mean, Robert is a changed young man and his life is completely on track, but he had to make the decision. His mom had to make the decision to reach out for help. He had to make the decision to go get the help, and he did, and his life is different now. Right? So that's Robert's story. But when you think about this, life can continue to go on, and you can keep doing the same thing with the wrong tool, or you can learn a new tool and life gets a lot easier. So we're going to talk about those tools here today. So what does Lifted from the Rut do? How do we help people? Well, here are our core services, right? And again, remember, the whole basis of what Lifted from the Rut does is to restore hope, identity, and purpose to the addicted. That's what we're doing here. All right, so core areas of service, we're going to talk about these as family and individual intervention services. This is all about bringing the bottom up to your loved one. Coaching services, discipleship training, long-term programs with Lifted from the Rut. And we do this through podcasting and social media platforms, okay? So those are the core services that we do here at Lifted from the Rut, all in an effort to help pull people and get them on a different pathway. So what the heck is an intervention anyway? What is an intervention? Well, here's what an intervention truly is. Are you ready for this? It's freedom. An intervention is truly freedom. Okay? And here's why. My definition of an intervention is a disruption in the current family system to bring about positive change, wanting both sides to quote unquote buy into investing in themselves to live a more fulfilling life free from codependent behaviors, moving towards more interdependence. And it is a huge, deep display of true love. And we're bringing the bottom up to your loved one instead of waiting for them to crash and hit the bottom. So why would, if there's a situation in life right now where you feel and a family member feels that, hey, we need to do something, why are we going to wait? And here's why I want to say this. Okay. I'm going to actually make myself a little bit bigger here. Why wait if there's a current situation that is detrimental to a loved one's life because of drugs and alcohol? Because here's the reality. A lot of families call to get help and then don't do anything for whatever reason. And when I call back a lot of times to check on and see how their loved one's doing or their one's doing, life has gotten worse and become worse because, and sometimes it results in death. But why wait until something like this happens, right? Why do we want to wait until there's a DUI accident, right? Where someone gets killed, your loved one killed or hurt. Your loved one gets hurt, someone else gets hurt. And a lot of times that can result in going to prison, right? So why do we want to wait until the bottom falls out? Why do we want to wait until the bottom falls out and we might not see our loved one again because they're behind bars or removed from the family for a very long time? Why do we want to wait until Child Protective Services is called and people lose the right to see their kids? Why do we want to wait until your boss walks into your office and says, hey, you're fired? Why do we want to wait for the bottom to fall out when an intervention process is the ability to actually bring the bottom up to your loved one to avoid all of this heartache, tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees, to all of this, losing a job? Why do we want to wait? Let's go back to that again. right? An intervention is a deep display of true love, bringing the bottom up to your loved one. Instead of waiting for a potential DUI, prison, jail, lose your kids, lose your job. All these things are realities of what's to come if something doesn't happen. So Lifted from the Rut is going to help people build a stronger foundation. We want to go from fear-based living to faith-based living. Whatever your faith is, whatever you find along the way, right? This is the process of, I'm going to go back to this again because this is powerful, okay? An intervention is freedom for the family and the loved one, right? Why do we want to wait until something tragic happens? A loved one goes away for a long period of time because of this. Now you're a single parent, possibly. Why do we want to wait till Child Protective Services calls? Why do we want to wait for these things? Why? Hey, Tim, got Tim up there in, I think it's Michigan, saying, hey, Tim, I know you're helping people around the country too, man, but these are the realities, right? You know what I'm talking about. Why do we want to wait for you to lose your job? So here's the reality, okay? And not only that, but in the intervention process, it's a lot of education, teaching people like, why is like your gut microbiome and addiction related? Could it be as simple as changing a diet, to get help? So really, you got to determine the right path. What's the right path for you? What's the right path for your loved one? Right? And that's going to have to be up to you. There's a link right there in red where you can literally just schedule a phone call to talk to me about what is going on in your life. What's going on in the family? How do we get help? How do we move forward? Right? That's what I'm offering you today, is just to talk and have a conversation about this. Because it starts with knowledge. Right? We can't do anything outside of the tools that we already know. And I think so much of talking to people in this industry and trying to get help and stuff, there's so many people that come from a thing of shame and just saying, oh my gosh, if you don't do this, your loved one's going to die. And those are realities of what could happen. But the bottom line is, let's have an authentic, true, like loving conversation about what is going on and how do we help save your loved one's life and save your family's life. Like, how do we do that? Well, it starts with a phone call. It starts with scheduling a call with me on my calendar. Other ways that maybe you have an idea of how in the heck, like my church needs to hear this. My high school needs to hear this. My Rotary Club needs to hear this. My sober living. I mean, I have a pretty crazy radical story. But other ways you can help get the word out is just invite me to come speak somewhere. Maybe you love the content you hear from Lifted from the Rut, and you honestly just want to make a tax-deductible donation to help continue these services to help people. Right? These are ways that can happen. But the bottom line is that Lifted from the Rut, we want people to get lifted, restoring hope, identity, and purpose to the addicted. Right? And this is what I do. You can go learn more at liftedfromtherut.com. Send me an email. Call me directly. But the easiest thing to do is just schedule a phone call to just be able to talk about what's going on in your life. Because when we go back up here, like, honestly, why do you want to wait? Why wait until something tragic happens? Prison, CPS is called, you lose your job. All these things can happen. But the bottom line is, we want to bring the bottom up to your loved one through an intervention process and help save lives. So don't wait for any of that to happen. Literally schedule a call today. Get the help you need. Share this with someone that might need to hear this information. But it's totally free to just talk. And then if I can help you going forward, I'm going to do that. If I can't, I'm going to get you the right place that can. That's all I have for today. Trying to get this done in under 30 minutes. God bless. Have an amazing day. And that's it for now. So whether you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, share this video with someone that needs to hear it. We'll do the replay tonight. when some people are back from work. God bless and have a great day.